Good morning, everyone. This is Captain Dave with Simple Plan Trucking, and coming at you this morning from Russellville, Arkansas. Eric and I are on our way from Cactus, Texas to Lawrenceville, Georgia, and then on down for a couple stops in Baldwin, Florida to drop off a load of meat. So we're getting some experience down here in the southeastern United States. It's interesting that we've stayed pretty much in this area since I started TNT. Haven't much been up north or out west. But I got to tell you, yesterday, Cactus, Texas was definitely interesting. It was a full-service meat plant where they bring the cattle in, they process them, and they get them out onto the trucks, all within about a 24-hour period. So it's quite the operation. We're taking some sirloin and some hamburger and some really also just some high quality cuts of meat into some cold storage facilities down there in Lawrenceville and Baldwin, Florida. Today I wanted to talk to you about delve into a little more into my reasons for getting into trucking. For those of you out there that may be considering a career change, you may not think initially about trucking as an option, but I would suggest that you might want to look into that and consider it. For me, I was at a point in my life where I worked in a federal job, and I saw that in another 5 years or so, it was going to be time to retire. I pretty much knew exactly how much money I would be making, and I knew pretty much how much my retirement would be. And while my wife and I would get by with that, like most people do, I'd like to do more. And so I'm taking a big chance. I've resigned from that job. I do have a retirement with it, but it's not nearly what it would have been if I had stayed that additional 5 years. So it's a big risk. But there were other reasons that played into my decision-making process for why I decided to leave. And for a while, I really couldn't put my finger on one of the biggest reasons, but driving over the last few weeks and being out on the open road and kind of talking about it with Eric has kind of helped me to formalize and get my arms around what it's about. I knew that I felt restless, and I knew that I was dissatisfied, and many of us have just a restless feeling right now with the direction of our country and what's going on in the world, and things are changing. Some people feel like it's for the better, some for the worst, but I think everyone would agree that there's an uneasiness right now as to where we're going to be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and what kind of a country we're going to have that we're going to leave for our children, and what life is going to be like for them. So I knew that I had this feeling to just get away. I feel like I wanted to get away from the rat race that was my life, getting up every morning, going into the office every day, coming home at the same time every day, eating dinner, watching a little TV, doing a few chores around the house, going to bed, wash, rinse, repeat kind of cycle. At 57 years old, I still feel like I have a lot that I want to do, things that I can accomplish. Still have some gas in the tank, so to speak, and I think that that trucking offers a real adventure for me. And when I say adventure, I look at it as truckers are kind of like the modern day cowboys. Not cowboys in the sense of you ride horses or you do rodeos or you work on a dude ranch, but more we're the folks that transport freight across the country. And if you lived 100 years ago or 150 years ago, in this country they had the Pony Express, right, that delivered the mail, and the guys would ride as far as they could ride, and they'd get on another horse and ride another 20 or 30 or 50 miles, and then they'd be exhausted and they'd have to sleep. And so I liken trucking sort of to that. We're moving freight. We're providing a very valuable service that has to be done across the country. We're in some very desolate areas. We sleep odd hours. We're at the beck and call of the shippers and the receivers and our fleet managers. And so I see this as being somewhat of a nomadic life, and there's a certain allure to that for me. There's a draw to that for me. I was talking yesterday with Eric about how, you lose track of what day of the week it is, and when you're out here on the road for 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or more weeks at a time, you kind of lose touch with the life that you had before. Now, I love my family, and I look forward to seeing them when I can, but the truth is my wife and I were in a position with our children where they're off doing their own things, and they're having their lives. They all live a distance from us. We weren't the type of family that we were together all the time and doing things. So, it was a big challenge for me to present this to her and say, let's do this, let's give this a shot. And I've told you before, initially there was some, we're not going to do that. You're going to retire and we're going to stay right here. But as I broke down those defenses and I talked about each one of her concerns and we found answers for them, it became more and more of a chance that this would be a reality for us. And so here we are. I'm in TNT, about halfway done. I'm probably not halfway yet, but I'll be close when I go home next week for Christmas, and we're going to hit it hard when we come back in January with the goal of being done around January 31st. And then about 2 weeks later, my wife Brooke is going to come to Bentonville for orientation, and then hopefully we have it lined up for Eric to be her PSD trainer there in Springfield. And then I will come in and take the trainer class, and I will train her for TNT, because quite honestly that was one of her biggest objections, was that she really didn't want to spend 2 or 3 months on a truck with another person, and that's understandable. That's the job, that's what you have to do, but Prime recognizes that, and they value teams, and so they've made provisions for those that desire to drive as a husband and wife team to come in, and for one or the other to get trained, spend some time on the road, come back and be trained to be a trainer, and then facilitate the TNT training for their spouse, which I think is just wonderful. But it's a win-win. They can move freight a lot faster with teams, and the potential to make money for both the company and the drivers is just tremendous. And Eric has talked about some of that in his videos. You're doubling the efforts, you're doubling the miles, and the ability to move freight more quickly. And you generally, when you're married, that money's going into the same pot, even if it's 2 separate accounts. You're managing your household finances together, so it puts you in a position to just accelerate your wealth incredibly, as long as you're able to keep doing it. So the name of our plan is, the name of our channel is Simple Plan Trucking. It seems pretty self-explanatory what it's about, but as I was thinking about what I wanted to do and what I wanted to share on this channel, it was simply this, that it's very important, no matter when you change careers or when you move into something new in your life, that you figure out what it is that you hope to accomplish first of all. For me, the very base simple answer was I wanted to double my income and retire in 5 years, because I'd already kind of figured out what I could make, generally speaking, as a team in trucking. And I convinced, I cajoled, I twisted my wife's arm that she's committed now, that if I was going to leave my steady job and take a chance with this, that we are going to do this for 5 years. And she has told me that we'll do it. We'll figure it out. We'll get through it together. That was the base. That was the simple plan that I came to Prime with. But once I got here, I just saw that there's so much more opportunity to grow and to expand a business of your own and to make money. Sometimes with Prime, sometimes people venture off and they do other things with other companies. They'll start their own fleet here at Prime, which there's a roadmap to do that. I mean, it can very, I won't say easily be done, but the steps that Prime provides for you and the support that they give you would enable anyone that was ambitious to come in and start their own fleet and have folks that would drive for them with companies that they were buying from Prime, leasing to own from Prime. So it's exciting. It's exciting to think about the possibilities, because at my age, I don't think that I'm going to want to drive forever. But if I can put a small fleet in place in the next 5 years, and then make money from managing that fleet, it's very exciting to think of the possibility of being able to do that. So there are many of you out there hopefully watching, sharing with your friends. I encourage you to share this, because that's how I found out about it. I just came across this at YouTube. I don't even know if a Prime driver was the first person that I saw, because there are a ton of trucking videos on Prime. And somewhere along the line, I saw one where it just planted a little seed in my head, and I thought, wow, that's exciting. First of all, I had no idea of the possibility for income as a truck driver. And yes, right now freight is high, and we go through ebbs and flows, and sometimes freight is not as high, and you won't make as much money. But when you're with a major carrier like Prime, you're somewhat insulated from those ebbs and flows. When you're on the open market and you do your own thing, and you're going to brokers and booking your own loads, you can really hit a low point when the freight goes down. And conversely, you can just make a ton of money when it goes higher. But remember, with major carriers, mega carriers, they have national contracts that these companies really have to honor, and they will pay these rates for freight. So it's gonna go up and down some, but not as much as it would on the open market. So the risk to you, the individual coming in to drive, is a lot less. I'm excited about the possibility. I'm excited to share with you our journey. We have another week out here. We're not sure where we're going after we drop off Friday morning in Florida, but we're going to hit it hard, and around the 22nd, we're going to make our way back to Springfield. Eric will drop me off, I'll pick up my car, and I'll drive home for Christmas. So it's going great, and so far training is fantastic. Tomorrow I'll be putting out a video with a week 3 update on TNT training and the things that I've learned, the challenges that I have. I'll tell you right now, this Qualcomm and managing your time is a lot bigger challenge to me than I expected it to be. Remembering that every time you get into the truck, you have to log what you're doing. You have to log your activity. So last night I forgot. We stopped for the night, and I forgot to put myself in sleeper berth. So that was a challenge, and we were able to correct it, but you certainly don't want to make those kind of mistakes. So please, for any of you that have questions, please comment below. I'll be happy to address anything that I know. I'm brand new, I'm not an expert on anything, but I do have my experience, which I'd be happy to share. A lot of you have asked about what I've done before, have asked about my military experience, have asked to see, where's my wife, when's she going to be on, and it hasn't happened yet, but I'm hoping that when I'm home for Christmas, we'll make a video with her, and then probably around mid-February or March, she'll start TNT. Actually, end of February or March, she'll start TNT, and then we'll be making videos together. So again, this is Captain Dave with Simple Plan Trucking. Please like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you see when I get new videos posted. Looking forward to talking with you down the road, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.